Jay, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm good. Just enjoying the festival, seeing some great films, having some fellowship with some excellent filmmakers, some great panels, parties. It's been wonderful. It's been great.
I know that you had a panel today and dealt with WGA and everything that's been going on. Obviously, it's terrific that an agreement has finally been made. So, can you tell me how it feels now to be on the other side of it now? Now that there's still way more to be done, obviously, but
No, it's really great. It's been a very surreal 5 months, but one that just kind of showcased the strength and solidarity of our union and just really affirmed, what we bring to the table as creatives and as artists. And I'm just happy to get back to work. We write because we're called to do it. And so it's been tough kind of being away from our profession and like what we love to do, but now we're back at it, and we're getting to work, and we're holding out hope that SAG and the AMPTP will come to a deal soon, so that like the industry can get back to making all of the great art that we love.
absolutely, absolutely. And speaking of that, I know we were talking a bit about it offline, and the work that you've done. I won't get into the specifics of it, but we'll just say in the superhero realm, in speaking to that, I feel like that subgenre, so to speak, is in an interesting place right now. Probably a place that's kind of unprecedented, where for a long time it was nearly batting, 1,000 in terms of like what we were seeing on the big screen and even on the small screen equally. So with that in mind and seeing what's happening now, where we're finally at that point where we're starting to see some kinks, if you will. What do you picture is going to be the next step, or the next thing that needs to be done? As someone who's a story editor and polishing a lot of drafts of a given story, what are your thoughts on what needs to be done to kind of take it to the next step where it needs to go?
Yeah, the thing with the superhero genre is there's definitely, I think fatigue. I think that that's a given. Um, but I don't think it's going anywhere at the end of the day. I look at it. It's a. I mean, that's what it's another genre, right? It's like if you look at like the history of cinema, westerns used to be what superhero films were now, where there were just the dominant genre was western, and then there were subgenres. There were western comedies, western heist films, western dramas, western romances. Because that's what was popular at the time, and then there's like an ebb and flow to it. So, they fell out of favor to a certain degree, but westerns still exist. They still make plenty of westerns every year. And I think the same thing is going to happen with the superhero genre, where they're gonna keep being made, but maybe just not as many. Maybe they'll be, it's all a container to is what are we trying to say with it, right? And I think that's what's gotten lost recently is, people who have something to say, who really have themes that they want to explore and characters that they want to dig into, will continue to use the genre of the superhero film to tell those stories. I think the superhero films are the American mythology. They are our Greek gods. That's the way that we as like modern Americans make sense of the world. And so I think that it'll continue to exist. It'll just kind of continue to evolve and take on new forms as we explore what the genre could be further.
Excellent. And and speaking to that too, I always like to close off with this, and with all of our viewers, many times they want to go in that same field that many of our artists that we're speaking with are doing. And just as I said, now that we're on the other side of the strike with the WGA, with someone who's trying to be a writer, with all the avenues that are available to artists these days, would that advice be the same now that you're on the other side of disagreement now with what's available versus perhaps what you would have suggested or advised to someone prior? And if so, what is it?
Yeah, my advice has been the same, and I think will remain the same. And it's just make stuff. Just continue to make stuff. I think networking is important. I think trying to find, I understand people are trying to find like managers and agents and reps and producers, but it doesn't matter if you don't have the thing to show them. And so I think the number one advice I would give people is to work on like just make stuff. Focus on your craft, write your scripts, write your comic books, make your short films, figure out a way to just make stuff. Even if it's not at the budget or level that you feel like it should be or needs to be, just tell a story. Just continue working on telling stories, because if you get good enough at telling stories, the right people will find you. Like that's the ultimate thing. And you need to love making stuff, because like the process, the grind of that is what your day-to-day life is going to be. It's not all red carpets and premieres or whatever. It's a lot of time just trying to figure out the best way to tell the story, the best way to get this beat across, the best way to fix an outline or whatever. And so if you fall in love with the process and just continue to make stuff, then everything else should fall into place.
Excellent, excellent. And the only reason why I asked that is because I'm brain farting on the gentleman's name now, also a writer, and there was a recent interview that he was doing where he was discussing just the idea now that the writers have gone through that process of that strike. But prior to that, there was very much a kind of a writer against writer kind of mentality. And because of, as you said, you spoke about it at the top, that there's a lot more solidarity among writers where they're starting to, put their heads together and say, hey, like, we don't need this party here. We can actually, do our own content, or we can, actually put together a platform. So is that something that you have starting to see the beginnings of, or do you think that is the next frontier?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people have started talking about it, but I think even in terms of even not going into like creating a separate distribution platform or separate production platform, even independent of that, which I think would be great. I think the more people making things and distributing things, the better for everyone, because there's more competition, there's more going on. But even beyond that, in the creative industry, it's always good to come from a place of abundance rather than a place of lack. Someone else's success does not negate mine. I truly believe in a rising tide lifts all boats mentality, and so I'm happy for folks who are getting their dream projects done and who are working. It makes me inspired to do my thing and tell the stories that I want to tell.